Hey people, I found this elixir of youth. It was in Genesis 30 and it was hidden amongst the names and the birth type. So I had said before, to better understand the Bible, you have to understand the characters. You have to look back to where they were born and see how they were born and why they were named. Because there's many different words for how they were born. But you can see here the water roll, kill, yield. And when saw Rachel that no, she bore children, to kill the yield, Y-L-D-E. Kill your yield, the water roll, kill, yield. And so this word yield, it comes up 37 times. And there's a total of 497 births, and most of them are with the ILD, the yield, but many of them are wheeled, and most of them just come up one time. The majority of them only come up one time. But this one comes up 62 times, and this is the clue right here. But I was reading through 29 and 30 about all the births, because there was 13 births on these 2 pages to Jacob, and I got down here to 14, and it's talking about Reuben went in the days of harvest of wheat, and he had found mandrakes, and Rachel was real interested in getting a hold of these mandrakes. And, from what I know of mandrakes, all the old writings say they were so deadly that you had to dig around it and tie it to a dog and blow a trumpet and then call the dog, because the mandrake would scream, and if you heard the scream, you died, and the dog died automatically, because every time you dug a mandrake root, it had to take a life. So I was real curious about these mandrake. But it doesn't seem like mandrake's something you want to give a pregnant woman. It might say mandrake in the Greek, and I think they were trying to poison people, because this is talking about the due day, D-U-D-A-Y-S, the due days. So I knew immediately what this was about. They were all into astrology, and the day that child was born gave that child is his name and his job. If you were born to be a slave on that day, you were a slave. And if you were born to be king, you were born under the stars of the king. And so it looks like they were trying to change the due day. And so I studied in the mandrakes, and it's not anything you want to take when you're pregnant. So they got this story totally twisted, but let me shoot through here and hit you with just a couple of these words. And when saw Rachel that no, she bore children, it was water roll, kill, yield, and L-Y-O-Q, B is in, to lie often. Water roll, kill, yield, lie often. What fun, they envy. W-T, what? Q-N-A, what fun. To roll. B, enact, A-C-H-T-E. Enact to tammer. To go through the fun of the process, but not have the yield, is what it's saying there. So it tells a story of the 2 sister wives and giving up their maids, and Jacob's just having a fest with all 4 of them. And so it says that, because God has judged my case, that Danny, and thus she called his name Dan. And so Dan is the judge. But they got these twisted. And said Rachel, the wrestlings, the nuptials, an ancient word for a wedding vow, is a nuptial. And said Rachel, wrestlings with great, I have wrestled with my sister, and indeed have prevailed. I have wrestled it. And then it's changed here, the nept nuptial tie. The nuptial tie. And so therefore I will call his name Naphtali. It's just like the Indians naming their kids Running Bear. I saw a running bear that morning. I'm gonna name him Running Bear. But all these names have meanings to them. And then Gad and Asher and the water lay. The water lay, give homemade, O-M-D-E, homemade. And then the milled it and took to the please lip. This is reading backwards and forwards. The P-L-Z-L-P. You know what the please lip is? That's when your girl sticks that bottom lip way down. Please. Please, Daddy, don't make me cry. The please lip. The spit. The spit, that's the same word for language there. What ta'en it to lie off and lass. To lie off and to please lip. Please, Daddy, tonight. And then waddled. What told? W-T-L-D. What told the lip? The spit. Lay. Lie off and bend. And then, Asher. You see where his name come from here. Asher. I am happy. And said, Lee, I am happy, for will call me blessed. A-S-R, Asher, when the daughters, so she called, what for? To whims, backward and forward, W-M-S. The whims sang to Russia, R-S-A. But it's to Tamerlay, Bashery, to give, and then this starts with an A, so it reads backwards, to give, in where so, in nut, B-N-U-T, in nut, what for to whims from to rush, or what for to submerse, is U-T-A, to U-M, S-M-U-R-S-A, to submerse. So this old Reuben, there is no dot in this B, and it's pronounced as a V. And you can see it here in the pronunciation, R-E-U-V-E-N, Reuben. But what it says is will crave, K, will crave in. Will crave in Jimmy Fixer, Q-X-I-R, F-X-R, in the day's fixer. The myth, it reads backwards and forwards, so this final M reads as an M in the front and an S at the end, so it's M-I-T-H, the myth, M-I-T-H-H, and then T-H-I-S, the myth this is. The myth this, to James, Vav connected to J-M-X-A, that's James, and James is a word for the next king. It's the son that's going to be king, is James. You know, the one at your heels, the one coming up next. The due day, the day's fixer, the myth this, to James the due day. Inside, inside the wife, to make in power, the wife, from the tell, and then this is read backwards and forwards, so it's actually this lay twice, L-A-E-A-L-A-E, from to lay a lay, and from to tamar roll, lay a lay, tiny, give me some please, a tiny, T-N-Y, the tiny Anna, the lie from due day, bank, you know, in the bank means is you can bank on it, it's gonna happen, bank. So this line 15, this is where it starts to give a hint to the medicine and the name of the next son. But Rachel says to Leah, please give me some of the mandrakes of your son. But she said to her, it is a small matter that you have taken away my husband, and would take away also mandrakes of my son. And said Rachel, therefore he will lie with you tonight for mandrakes of your son. Trade the husband for some mandrakes. But what it actually says is what moral. All these are just parts of words. Sometimes it's a word, sometimes it's just a part of a word. But what tomorrow, the moth, M-O-T-H, the moth was the smallest constellation. It was called the moth, and it came to mean small. But what tomorrow, the moth take. Usually when it says take, it's the TQH, but this time it's backwards. What tomorrow, the moth take to. And then backwards and forwards to his sea is make to lift, goes to, and then backwards and forwards, a yod, to make, AD, add, vav, connected, to make add to the due day, bing, mark of time, what more roll, like in, make sack in, I, to make SK, the sack in. He will lie with you, to make sack in. And then omic, OMK. OMK is a word that means the study of, like economics is the study of economy. The OMK is the study of. To make sack in omic, to make the sack in study of. The lily that due day bank, that the due day is set, is a sure thing. Or been give, cause to give. The due day that you've been given, been give. The one set. Tamer roll, lichen, to make sack and omic, the lily, the flower that due day bank, the night that due day bank. So you can see I'm starting to hint to the next son here, the Issachar, to make sack in, Isaac, and then it'll get a little closer. We'll talk about it several times. The wife joke in monads, the side boring to tax lay. Going to start charging you for the lay. And so this is the wife, W-I-V-A, to make in power, joke in. And monads, M-N-E-D-S, monads, the side of boring. Monads is followers of Dionysius, as a monad. And these are women that went out and got drunk at night with the Greek god of liquor, getting drunk. And so the wife joking, the monads, the side. And then there's the boring. Remember that a couple movies ago, they gave that the meaning of in orb. In fact, sometimes it means the evening, and sometimes it means the wolf, the dog, and sometimes it means the raven, in orv, O-R-V. But the monads decide in orv to tax lay. To tax lay of frat to. The tax lay of frat, to fraternize. To tamer ill, I-L-A, is a sickness, but it's also the ancient word for a lie. And you can see it, people didn't know, read it backwards, and it's a lie. But it's read ill, I-L-A. to tamer ill, taboo, the sick taboo. And taboo is something that's not supposed to be done. To give succor. There's another part of that Issachar. To give succor, succor tick. And so, if you ever been on a naval ship and traveled around the world, you know that the succor is the same in every language. Succor, succor tick. In due day. Time being the mark of time, to make suck in, to make sack in, to make sackonomic, to the study in the sack, in lily who, in the lily. So this word menage is also where your word the menage a trois come from. You know, when the wife joking the menage, beside boring, to tax lay, a frat to, and what to more ill taboo. So it's all poetry, and you're not exactly sure what it's talking about until you get this next line. Then you get the clue. So this God in here makes it a little easier to see this what it's saying, but it's the Wisham Sea. And this reads backwards, starts with an A, from Yale, Y-E-L, and then the A, from Yale, O-lay, from lay, means an exceptional performance. This is a word typically chanted by a crowd for a team or a player who made an exceptional performance. Ole. And Wisham C from Yale, lay. What hear and told the lie often been come see. So they got this twisted, and this is never Jacob, and you can see that they don't even think it's Jacob theirself. You know, it's Li Ya Ko, and you know there is no B, it ends with a V. But it's the lie often, or sometimes it's of the joke in. Sometimes it's read backwards and forwards. But the Wisham C from a lay, what hear and told lie often been come and see. Come and see is a play on words. It means come and see me, you know, and the come and see me is she's a whore. You know, it's a word for a lace trim night garment. Come and see. And so that's what the sailor's reading off the top of this. But the chemist is reading something totally different here. You know, he still sees that. The Wisham Sea from the yellow lay. Great performance of the water. The water waddled, the waddle through lie of in, the water of the waddle through lie of in, ben chemacy. And so this is a wattle. Wattle's ancient name for acacias, and it's a name for many acacias, a big family of this genius here, and it's in the mimosa family, the acacia family, and it was also actually called the shitta tree. That'd be the same name every time it says, and they burnt the incense on the table made of acacia. This would be the word that's used in the Hebrew, and it's still the word we use today when you get some good weed. Hey man, I got the good shit. But it comes from a big family. It comes from a big family. It's well known by the chemist, the wattle, and they take this bark extract, and it's used for many things. It's used for soaps, the Wattle Tree Soap Company to make wattle soap. And so she could see even more. The water waddled. And so we look at this, and it's used 62 times. And like I said at the beginning, you know, there's many, many words here. Most of them are just used one time. The howled is 95 times. But this the waddle is the second most used for yield, which is used 20 times like this, and probably more, just they put it in a different category. And so that's because it's such a big family. There's so many things made out of wattles. But you can see it here in the wattled soap. They totally left the S off over here, but this is S-O-P. The wattled soap. The job made men. It's used to make dyes. Several of them make dyes. And dyes is a code word for the same thing that's doing the coloring is the same thing that's hallucinogenic. It's, the drugs are in the same chemical that the dye is extracted in. And make sure you watch that movie about tie-dyes. I'll leave the link. And explain all the ancient dyers of the 13th Company. Why they called what they were doing was drugs. It was the same words for making drugs, and alcohol is all part of the 13th Company and the dyers. So last line here, here's the secret potion hidden right here. In my wages. You see, that's the sacra. And said Leah has given me God my wages, because I have given my maidservant to my husband. So she called his name Issachar, and you see that right there, that is sucker, S-K-R, the wages, S-K-R, his wages, the sucker that you've seen before in several words working up to it, the sucker dick, the sucker, to make suck in. And so the secret medicine in here is what to more lay on Tain. What to more lay on Tain. On Tain is something that you acquired. To Tain. From Yella, Y-E-L-A. From Yella Sacchary. The race it taint. The race it taint tie. The spit make lazy. What for same to is sucker. And so from yellow sacchary is an ancient word for yellow cherry. And that's what the Chinese use for it's what keeps them, the Chinese and Japanese, what keeps their skin so young. It slows down the metabolism. It's called Ebros Japanese, the yellow cherry blossoms. And there's many companies put out these cherry teas, and this is mixed with blossoms and leaves. But they're talking about extracting the ingredient out of the yellow cherry blossoms. But it's all known to slow down your metabolism. And so if you want to extend your due date, that's how you do it, is you slow down your metabolism in your body, and it slows that baby's growth down, and you can change the due date. But all the cherry blossoms are good for you, and they're all called Sakura. And they come in mostly pinks, white, but this is known as a yellow Sakura. A yellow Sakura. A Yukon Sakura with its yellow hued blooms. Or a Gyoko, which translates to a yellow imperial government cherry blossom. they're all good for your skin and slows down the metabolism and and takes and whitens your face. And I'm not gonna put a link underneath because I've never tried any of them. From the yellow saccharin, the race it tanked tie. The RSA, the race it tanked tie. It tanked. The race that it colors ties, the yellow. The yellow is what we call Chinese. The Chinese yellow saccharin. It tanked ties the fit make lazy. Lazy. You slow your metabolism, get lazy. What for the same to is saccharin. So Genesis does not mean the beginning. Genesis means in the beginning learn your genesis. Neither in the Greek either. There's no Genesis in the beginning. It means according to the type, the genus. And the genitu doesn't mean it was. It means it's the genitu. It means where it belongs. The genealogy, the genus as, the genesis, the origin of where it comes from. It's Genesis, where it comes from, its family. So I lose the majority of my viewers within the first 5 seconds. So if anybody wants to help me out with a more amusing intro, I'd be thrilled. I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.